Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I'm looking at the 2026 US House elections and I am doing a best case scenario video for the Republicans in the 2026 elections. Now, if you're just watching this for the first time, I did do a few videos a few days ago going over the best case scenario for the Democrats in the House, Senate, and governor elections. Make sure to check those out after this video is done if you're interested. So I did the Democrats' best case scenario. This time I'm going to do the Republicans' best case scenario. Now, the whole reason I want to do these videos was the Democrats are currently polling at an all-time high and Republicans, at an all-time low in terms of President Trump's approval rating. Trump is currently now down negative 12.7%, which if these numbers continue to go down heading into the midterms is certainly not going to be a very good sign for the president and the Republicans, likely leading to a Democrat blue wave of shellacking, whatever word you want to use. On the generic ballot, however, though, Democrats are leading by 4.8%. Though it's obviously about a 5-point lead and it's a lot smaller than what President Trump's negative approval ratings are, it also shows Democrats are the ones that are gaining support and Republicans have fallen off massively over the last few weeks or so. So the Democrats are certainly the ones in the advantage. And just based off the 2024 House map where Republicans won roughly by about 2.8% nationally, flipping it going to 4.8%, let's see, just quick math here, 2.8 plus 4.8, that's going to be a 7.6% flip in the Democrats' direction based on the current polling. And if we were to shift the map roughly 7.6% towards the Democrats, we would see the Democrats would ultimately win roughly 235 House seats to Republicans' 200. So the Republican best case scenario at this point probably feels more like a fever dream for the Republicans than for an actual realistic map. But still, we're going to go through the map and see if the Republicans can bounce back, what their best case scenario would look like. Now, unlike the Democratic one so much, the Republicans' best case scenario is going to involve likely a lot of redrawing of the maps. Now, there is the possibility of the Voting Rights Act section getting overturned, which would give the Republicans the ability to redraw House maps like in Alabama, where there's 2 Democratic drawn districts. For this video, we're not going to touch that for now. We're just going to focus on the states that have been rumored to be redrawing their districts and steer away from the voting rights one. So Alabama will remain the way it is. Alaska, Nick Begich will continue to hold on to his race. Arizona is going to be a very important one, where there are 2 Republicans in Juan Cisco Manny and Dave Schweikert that are up in 2026. Schweikert's not running again. Juan Cisco Manny is. These races were absolutely super close in 2024, 3.8%, 2.5%. In the Republicans' best case scenario, they would ultimately hold these 2 races, but it would certainly be very close. Arkansas would remain the way it is. California, the map has been redrawn, so the Democrats are likely going to pick up California 1 with Doug LaMalfa, California 3 with Kevin Kiley. In California, I believe it's another one down here as well that is not going Democratic. Darrell Iss's district certainly could be. So the Republican map in California is going to be tough. The Democrats certainly have the advantage here. The Republicans' best case scenario for California would be narrowly holding on to Darrell Iss's newly drawn seat and finding a way to hold on very narrowly with David Valadao and with California Adam Gray narrowly flipping those 3 seats. Now, certainly I don't think this is realistic to happen in real life, but in the Republicans' best case scenario, it would likely be something like this out of California, where the Democrats are still picking up California 1, California 3, and I believe there is another seat down here as well. And Ken Calvert's seat, the 41 seat, now being a safe Democratic seat due to the map being redrawn. But still, the Republicans could potentially try and hold to their seats and flip the 13th. In Colorado, one of the most important toss-up seats up in Colorado is Colorado 8 with Gabe Evans. The Republicans' best case scenario, I think it would still only be a under 1-point victory. As we just saw this race in 2024, only vote for the Republican by 0.73%. So that's certainly a very important race to watch for as one the Democrats are going to try and win. In the Republicans' best case scenario, they need to narrowly hold on to Colorado 8 to have a chance at keeping the House. Connecticut, even in the Democrats in the Republicans' best case scenario, we're still going to see Connecticut 5 with Jahana Hayes likely stay in the Democratic category. Delaware will remain safe. Florida is where Republicans, I think, are going to potentially try and redistrict prior to the 2026 midterms. Ron DeSantis has promised this. Now, what's going to happen ultimately in the redraw is the rumor has been the Republicans are going to try and leave the Democrats with only about 2 or 3 House seats left in the state. And the rumor is something like this. Hillsborough County, which has trended a lot to the Republicans, would try and draw out Kathy Castor, giving the Republicans a narrow gain there. Another one could be drawing out the surrounding Orange County area in Orlando with Darren Soto, giving the Republicans another flip. Now, that would be 2 gains for the Republicans there. The next one's going to be the Palm Beach area held by Jared Moskowitz. This is obviously a very important area to President Trump, or Mar-a-Lago is. This would be an important area for the Republicans. This would be 3 flips so far. Next, the 20th district, which you see are surrounded by Republican districts. Republicans could try and redraw, giving the GOP 1 more seat. Now, the next part would be, could the Republicans draw out Frederica Wilson, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, or Lois Frankel in Florida 22, Florida 25, or Florida 24? At this point, the Republicans are picking up 4 House seats. They could stop there, but they would likely try and push the map a little bit further and try and draw out one more of Frankel, Wasserman Schultz, or Frederica Wilson. And for the sake of this video, since I usually go with Debbie Wasserman Schultz's district, let's go with Lois Frankel this time. If the Republicans were to do this in Florida, which this has been the rumor that they want to do, prior to the midterms, they would have roughly, I believe it's 20 of the 28, I believe, representatives in Florida. They would hold 25 of them. Democrats would then only hold 3, which would be a massive redraw, massive gerrymander for the Republicans in a state they desperately need that to. Now, if they do that, they're keeping the House at that point becomes a lot more likely. Still, they would need to win a lot of competitive toss-up states, though. Georgia would remain the way it is, as well as Hawaii and Idaho. Illinois, all of its districts would remain in the Democratic and Republican hands, respectively. Indiana, President Trump has been trying forever in the last few months to redraw Indiana's congressional map. There are some maps out there that want to target Indiana 7 and Indiana 1. Right now, the most common one that we've heard is that Republicans that do want to redraw in Indiana are trying to get the 1st district. President Trump's insistent he can get the 1st and the 7th out. I think it may be pushing it a little bit right now for the President Trump and the Republicans to draw out the 7th, but that is certainly something that could happen in the Republicans' best case scenario. Iowa is going to be essentially ground zero for the 2026 midterm elections after very close races in Iowa 3 and Iowa 1 from 2024. But in the Republicans' best case scenario, I think we see Iowa 1 again go under 1 point for Marinette Miller-Meeks, and Iowa 3 narrowly go for Zach Nunn. Kansas is not going to be redrawn based on recent reports, so even in the Republicans' best case scenario, without Kansas being redrawn, Kansas 3 will not be flipping. Kentucky will remain the way it is now, 1 Democratic seat, the rest all red. Louisiana will remain. Maine, the state with Jared Golden not running. Paul LePage, the former governor of Maine, the Republican candidate, is likely going to win this race anyway, but in the Republican best case scenario, almost guaranteed, he would win Maine's 2nd district. Maryland, unless this map gets redrawn, Republicans will hold on to its 1 congressional seat. Massachusetts, every district will continue to go for the Democrats. Michigan, in the Michigan Republican best case scenario, Tom Barrett finds a way to narrowly hold on and win re-election, probably by under 1 point in this environment, but still possible. And in Michigan 10, with John James not running, it's going to be a lot closer, but the Republicans could also find a way to narrowly hold on and win those 2 races. Minnesota, it's possible Angie Craig's seat, now that it's open, Republicans could try and make more competitive, but even still in the Republicans' best case scenario, I think Democrats win it by around 1 point. I don't think we're going to see that race go to the Republicans ultimately. Mississippi would remain the way it is. Missouri, Republicans already have drawn out Emmanuel Cleaver in Missouri 5, the Democrats, so that's already a very big gain on the gerrymander side of things for the Republicans. In Montana, both House seats continue to go for the GOP. Nebraska, even in the Republicans' best case scenario with Don Bacon not running, given how this race has trended to the Democrats in recent years and Kamala Harris won it in 2024, I think we're going to see Nebraska too, even in the GOP's best case, ultimately go to the Democrats. In Nevada, its House map is going to remain the same based on the way they drew their congressional map for the 2022 midterms. They drew it in a very smart way where all the districts have a Democratic lean surrounding Las Vegas. Even as the map has trended more towards the Republicans, I think the Democrats still hold on there. New Hampshire, it's possible that the 1st district could get competitive now that Chris Pappas is not running, but with Stephanie Shaheen running, the daughter of Jean Shaheen, I think the Democrats are still more likely than not going to hold on to both of the districts in the state of New Hampshire. New Jersey, the most important race to watch for is Tom Keene in New Jersey 7, and is going to be a very close race that Republicans and Democrats are both hoping to win, but certainly I think Tom Keene, the best case scenario for the GOP, would hold on and win New Jersey 7 by roughly around a 1 to 5 point margin. In New Mexico, the Republicans, I think, would love to win New Mexico 2 over Gabriel Vasquez. Now, this was a 4.2% win in 2024 after it was only a 0.7% win in 2022. But if the Republicans were not able to win it in 2024, I don't think they're going to be able to win it, even in the best case scenario for 26. So I think we're going to see this race narrowly stay in the Democratic hands. As for New York, I think we see the map pretty much remain the way it is. The only district, New York 4, could potentially be competitive, but we did see it go blue for the Democrats in 2024 by 2.3%, even though Anthony D'Esposito won it by 3.6% in 2022. It's possible this one flips back to the GOP. I think it's more likely than not the Democrats win it by 1 point or so, but ultimately, I think we're going to see that one go for the Democrats in a very close margin, but Mike Lawler holds on and wins there. North Carolina, the map has already been redrawn. The 1st district of Don Davis likely to go for the GOP, so that's going to be a likely game for the Republicans there. North Dakota will remain Ohio. The Ohio Republican best case scenario at this point is a narrow win over Marcy Kaptur in Ohio 9 and a very close win in Ohio 1 over Greg Landsman. This would get the Republicans 2 extra seats in the state of Ohio. Ohio 13, though, Amelia Sykes, her district is not going to be really much in danger. I think the Democrat will end up winning there by a pretty decently sized margin. Oklahoma will remain the way it is. Oregon will remain the way it is. Pennsylvania is the other state like Iowa that's going to be very, very important to watch for, as there are 3 very close elections up in Pennsylvania 8 with Rob Bresnahan, Pennsylvania 1 Ryan McKenzie, and Pennsylvania 10 with Scott Perry. And I think right now, best case scenario is the Republicans hold on to all 3 of them by very narrow margins. It's going to be very, very tough to see the Republicans holding all 3, but in the best case scenario, I think we're going to see the Republicans narrowly hold on to them like they did in 2024. But that's going to be a very telltale sign early on in the night. If the Republicans are winning these districts, then, or if they're not, will be an indicator of how the House is going. Rhode Island, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee will not be anything really different here. The special election for the 7th is going to be very important as well on December 2nd, but for now, going to be likely for the Republicans. Texas is a big one because there was, I believe, a federal or state judge in Texas overturned the congressional map, and it's going to go to the Supreme Court of the United States. Ultimately, how that vote goes will determine it. But based on the map that Texas did pass, the Republicans' best case scenario would be narrowly finding ways to win its 2 open races in Texas 34 and Texas 28 against 2 endangered Democratic incumbents. For Utah, I think the 1st district's almost guaranteed now to be a safe win for the Democrats, unless a new map is redrawn that changes that, but that'll be a Democratic district. Vermont will be safe. Virginia, the only hope for the Republicans in Virginia really is Jen Kagan's holding on and keeping her seat red. I don't think Eugene Vindman's going to be in too much danger of losing, even in the GOP's best case scenario. Washington, Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez, certainly more of a moderate Democrat with a lot of far-left Democrats disapproving of her and not liking her as much, though we did just see in 2024 she defeated Joe Kent by 3.9% after 2022 where she won by 0.82%. So if Joe Kent is not the candidate, it'll probably be closer in the Republicans' best case scenario, but again, I think best case scenario for the Republicans is Gluesenkamp-Perez still narrowly wins by around a 1 point margin. The last competitive race to go over is in Wisconsin, the 3rd district with Derek Van Orden. After several close elections in this district, including in 2024, a 2.7% win. Best case scenario for the Republicans is they replicate that and keep the seat red. So in the Republicans' absolute best case scenario, where I have them winning pretty much all of the redrawn gerrymandered seats in Ohio, the Texas map withstanding, and redrawing 5 seats out of the state of Florida, I could get the Republicans up to roughly 232 House seats, Democrats at 203. Now, this is the best scenario for the Republicans where everything essentially goes right for them, but obviously, as I mentioned at the start of the video, this is a hypothetical scenario for 2026. I do not believe this is going to be what happens. Certainly do not get that twisted. Democrats are polling very strong right now. President Trump and the Republicans are not polling very strong right now. But if the Republicans, if everything went right for them, and we saw essentially a massive turnaround for the Republicans and they ended up winning in the best that they could, I think it would look something like this. But again, certainly not expecting this to happen in 2026. But I thought this would be an interesting video to do. I hope you found it fascinating. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And again, check out my other videos on the channel where I went over the Democrats' best case scenario for House, Senate, and Governor. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in a future video.